back and make sure I go. Good evening, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Hope you're all doing well tonight. Here I am with another Learning Live. Matt's just checking the feed in the other room. Otherwise, you've got me all night long. So if you are watching live, please do just jot a hello in the comments there. Make sure I've got the right sound. Make sure that you could hear me. Matt's given me the thumbs up from the other room, which is good. He's busy setting up Lawn Fawn. The launch is just in 2 days, so he's got lots of work to do. Hope everyone is doing well. We are here with some more back to basics. Sorry, I've got the echo going in the other room. It threw me off for a second. Sorry. Nope, that's okay. Like I said, please do jot a hello in the comments. Let me know you're watching. And as I go through what I'm going to be sharing with you tonight, if you can use the great big capital letters question and then type your question into the comments, that'll help me kind of keep an eye on things. Oh, there's Debbie. Hello, Debbie. Yes, great. I can see the comments. That's fantastic. So here we go. Tonight we are going to be talking about swatching. And I know that this is something that I've been promising for a little while. Hello, Darlene. Thank you for joining in tonight. It took me a little bit of time to kind of wrap my head around swatching because this is something I want to do. I've got a huge craft room of stuff, and the idea of organizing, the idea of swatching, I know can be overwhelming. So the first thing I'm going to tell you about tonight is that I'm going to give you lots of ideas. You do have to find what's right for you and what's right for your supplies and how you want to use them. And so that is really kind of the key number one question is, what do you want to get out of swatching? You can use swatching just to keep track of what you own. So you know what distress colors you have, you know what cardstock colors you have. That way, when you go to the store, you don't necessarily buy the same thing twice or 3 times or 4 times. The other reason why you would want to swatch things is to just make sure that your product is working. Make sure that it blends nicely. Make sure you got some good practice going, because the absolutely worst thing that has happened to me, and I'm sure has happened to all of you, is that you buy something new and you tuck it away and you don't actually get around to using it for a couple weeks, couple of months, sometimes more than that. I hope not, but sometimes more than that. And when you go to open it up, it doesn't work. So you want to make sure that you are testing your supplies and things like ink blending is great practice just to do these swatches and get things moving smoothly and making sure you are on the right track. And then for me, the third reason why you would want to swatch your things is that way you build up you know what you've got and you're more likely to use it. So you can use swatching to come up with ink combinations to match your cardstock to your ink. Some companies like Concord and Knife, it's really easy because fig paper is the same as fig ink. you know everything's going to match. But then you get a company like Spellbinders, which right now that is my absolutely favorite cardstock to be using, but there's no ink to match. So what am I going to use when I want to pick an ink? If I do the work ahead of time and get everything swatched out properly, then it's so much easier to just be able to use your stuff. So we're going to go through a bunch of different scenarios. I've got all kinds of samples here to share with you. We will be making samples as we go along, and I'm going to give you lots and lots of ideas. So take some notes. If you got to open up the notepad on your phone, take some notes. Always come back and feel free to watch this on replay. But we're going to get lots of ideas. And then there's different ways you can store your swatches. So don't get overwhelmed. Take it set one thing at a time. And even if you find one thing that works for you tonight, then go with it. Faye is saying here, evening, Matt and Sheri. Interested in tonight's topic, only 4 more sleeps. Yes, we're going to be going out to St. Mary's. Going out to St. Mary's on Saturday, so we can't wait to see our friends out there. Last thing I'm going to talk about, then I'm going to switch my camera. We all have lots of stuff. We all have lots of stuff in our stash. Matt's even laughing from the other room. The biggest thing, if you take one thing away from tonight, is don't feel the need to get it all done all at once. My best advice is to start now with everything you purchase going forward. And then when you have time, maybe 15 minutes per weekend, maybe watching, when you're watching a movie, get a little bit of stuff out, go back and do the backlog a little bit at a time. But start now with the new stuff, go back and do the old stuff afterwards. Does that all make sense? All right. Hopefully it will, because we all need to swatch. This girl too. So we are going to get some stuff. Matt's got a comment here. Who has lots of stuff like Sheri? I think we can all raise our hands. All right. So let's switch to my overhead camera. There we go. And at the very minimum, one of the best reasons why you would want to swatch is to just keep track of the colors you have. So a lot of what I'm going to start off with is talking about inks. Inks are one of the most common things that people swatch in order to keep track of. And that's because there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of colors out there. And one of the pitfalls that we have a lot of people when they come into the store is they look at the color of the cap. I mean, it's the same with your Copic markers. You look at the color of the cap and you're like, well, that's going to be the color of the ink. And that's not always the case. So swatching is going to allow you to see what the true color is. The other reason why you want to swatch is, something like distress versus oxide. This is the same color. This is picked raspberry. But you can see that there are slight color variations because what makes up the ink is different. So this is distress ink and this is oxide. They're really, really close, but they're not exactly the same. So here's where I'm going to start tonight. I am using primarily products from Waffle Flower. And I think I talked about this, it's probably now been a month since this release came in. But they've got a whole series of swatching dies and stencils to help you with your ink. There are also some stamp sets, and then I've got some tag dies as well. So I'm going to be pulling all of these out as we go along. But if you have questions, again, don't forget to use that word question in the comments, and we're going to talk about all of these things. The other thing that I do have, or thought here it is underneath all my other stuff, is there is also a paper swatching die from Spellbinders. There's actually 2 dies. This one is the main petal die, and this is a color combination die. That's a better angle there. We'll talk about this later on because, again, so many reasons and so many ways that you can use the things that you swatch. So inks. Let's talk inks first. And primarily, sorry, I'm just looking for a place to put all my stuff so I don't get all kinds of weird shadows. Because they are new and I'm following my own advice, the new Distress Oxide minis have just started coming in. We're on batch number 2. So I think there were 6 sets of 4. Yeah, 6 sets of 4. 6 times 4 is 12. So that's 48. Sorry, have to do the math there, which is not my strength. But I have started with these guys because they are new, and like I said, I'm starting new and moving forward. The first thing I did as I was prepping for tonight is I created a little swatch of the ink for the back of my ink cube. And that was using, maybe I should bring this closer. Where'd they go? They were right here. Oh, no, they're here. They're right beside me. Duh. So sorry. That was using this one here. This is called the Ink Swatch Label 1 by a half. And when you die cut, you get 8 little rectangles that look like this. I have a few extras, so I've just been keeping them over here in my little lid. And when you get the die, no, it's not, if they don't, sorry, I was going to say something wrong. There is the die, and then there is also a stencil to help you make these swatches. Oh, that's one of my gray hairs. And on this stencil, there are 2 openings. This one is to help you go edge to edge on that piece that you cut out. This is if you want to do a little white border. So again, if you look at the bottom of my ink cube here, I've done the little swatch, but I've kept a little white border. And that's just a me thing. This is totally a preference. I liked having that little white border around there, but totally up to you what you want to do. And then I just used some double-sided tape on the back and stuck it to the bottom of my ink pad. This one here does exactly the same thing, but what it does is it creates more of a bar that would go on the end of your ink pad. And let me find it. I have not done them yet. The next on my list is my 49 and Market inks because they are the second newest ones that I have. But this little swatch here would fit right on the end of your ink pad, or again, you could put it on the back side as well, whichever you prefer. Kind of like it on the end here so that I know what color when it's sitting here in my storage case, but you have to make sure that it fits and that it stays stuck. Diane says it does make a difference to swatch, that she's done it. I'm so glad to hear that, Diane. Feel free to pop your little tips in here as well as we go along. So, what have I done already? I've already done my Twisted Citron. I've already done my Picked Raspberry. I've already done my Villainous Potion. And I believe I have already done my Seedless Preserves. Yeah. So there's Seedless Preserves here in my little book. And I'm going to talk about all these storage options in just a second. The big piece here, because there is a second piece that I was using, and that is the Ink Swatch 2x2. So there's all these little things. And, to give you a little bit of history, when Waffle Flower first came out with their swatching series, they came out with one great big die set like this. And I think there is a coordinating stamp set. I did not get the stamp set. I was really focusing on the dies with this. But there's a lot in here. And so in order to break it down, Nina from Waffle Flower has offered these now as broken down sets. So if you just like one size, you can just stick with that one size. I will tell you so far, this is the one out of this set that I have used the most. And then taken advantage of these little guys. So we are just going to dig in. So the one color I still have not done was the Peacock Feathers, because there's those 3 there, Seedless Preserves is in the other one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a 2x2 that I have already cut, and I'm going to grab a 1x1 that I have already cut, and there's a reason for that. Um, Sorry, lost my train of thought there. Squirrel. Anyways, oh, I know what I was going to say. Cutting your squares, that's something that's really easy to do in front of the TV. So if you want to do something in your craft room, you want to do something and stay productive, so we're not snacking all the way through the evening. Just cutting your squares gives you a head start when you go to do your swatching, and then when you bring something home new, you don't have the excuse, oh, I don't have any squares cut. You just have to crack it open, get it inked up, and then put it away again because you've got everything already ready to go. And odds are, once you get the stuff out, you're going to want to play with it. It's like that story, that the children's story. You give a mouse a cookie. It has a whole, well, if you do this, then this is going to happen, then this is going to happen. Well, this is the same thing. If you've got your swatching stuff ready, you're going to open up your new supplies. And if you open up your new supplies, you're going to want to play with them. And when you play with them, you're going to create something beautiful. So by doing a little bit of prep work, it can really get you a long way to getting your mojo going, getting your creative juices going. When it comes to paper, you do want to use the paper that you use most often. So whenever I'm inking, whenever I'm coloring, I tend to use the Nina Solar White or the Prism Studios version of that in 80 pound. I've got it here. You can't see the packaging because, of course, it's turned over. So all of my swatching is going to be done using this 80 pound cardstock. Has a smooth finish, great for ink blending. When I build these tags, I did use a heavier weight paper just because they are tags, and I want to make sure that they're going to withstand the wear and tear. All right, stop talking and let's actually get some inking done. So I've already cut my squares. That can go with the side. I don't need this stencil. I want my big stencil, my big 2x2 stencil. Here it is. So there's my 2x2 stencil. I'm going to put these away. Try and keep yourself organized. I know I spent a lot of time this afternoon looking for stencils because, of course, I didn't put them away. And the craftastrophe was real. Now, if you do not have a waffle flower grip mat, you could absolutely just do this right on your paper. But I've got my little grip mat here, so I'm going to pull that out so that my pieces of paper don't move. And that's the one thing that I found with this system is that because you're cutting first and then stenciling afterwards, these little guys, oh, hang on. All of a sudden, Matt, can you see if I'm still live?
You're live on my screen.
Okay, my desktop just did a great big glitch, folks. So just bear with me a second.
What are you doing?
Well, because now I can't see my desktop. So.
Okay. All I see is your grip mat, a couple of torn pieces of paper, and your arm off to the left side.
Okay. Still says I'm live, so let's get me back in the studio here. Now I'm here twice for some reason. All right. Can you guys still see me? All good there? Thanks, Darlene. You're fine on my end, Sheri. Fantastic. All right. Not sure why I'm in here twice, but we're going to just keep rolling with it. Okay. Everyone's good. All right. Thank you, guys. Sorry about that. A little bit of panic there. Matt's trying to climb underneath all my cords and everything. And
the older we get, the more funny noises we make when we make it.
Right? Okay, so I have my white 2x2 square. I'm going to attach it to my grip mat, and by attach, it's already sticky, so I'm just putting it down. Now I'm going to grab my stencil. And like I said, let's see if I can... I have too many things piled up around here. Here we go. So let's do this. Can you see that a little bit better? So over here on the left is the large square, and it measures 2 by 2. So if you want to go edge to edge, this is going to go right around your square, just like so. I'll bring it up closer. And that way you can do your stenciling edge to edge without worrying about getting your grip mat dirty, without worrying about getting anything underneath it dirty. And it also just helps keep it nice and straight. But I want to do a little bit of a white border. So I'm going to now move it over. And again, let's see if you can see that on camera. I don't know if you can, but there is a little etched line around the outside. That is the 2 by 2 again. And then you've got your little bit of an opening so that gives you where you're going to be inking. So what I'm going to do is try to line up that etched line with the edges of my paper, then attach it down, smoosh it down so it sticks to my grip mat, and we are ready to go. I'm going to grab my blending tool. So I've got a blending foam on my little baby blending tool, my ink over here, and just like so, I can ink this up and just blend away. Now, oxide is a nice pigment ink, so it's got some nice blending properties. You really don't need a lot to get that to blend smoothly. Whoops, don't throw it at yourself. Gonna keep this here because we're gonna come back to that in a second. And I'm just gonna use a paper towel, or you could use a microfiber cloth, just to wipe off that excess, clean it up while you're still in place. Because that way, if you do have ink and you do get in this space, well, it's all the same color. So you are good to go. Okay. Now I'm gonna peel this up. Presto Magico. Gently. Whoop, there we go. And there is my ink blended swatch. And this is ready to attach or tuck in an album or get labeled. And again, that's another, again, that is another tip that I recommend whenever you are doing this. Just like when you're creating a layout or doing a journal page, you want to do your journaling. You want to do your labeling on this, because I know me, if I were to put this away to label, I'll probably say tomorrow, but really it'll be 2 weeks from now. I'm not going to remember what color this is. So make sure you label it right away. And so I'm just going to take a journaling pen right here. And if I want it to be consistent with how I'm doing it on the other ones, in that top right-hand corner, I'm going to write the color. So this is Peacock Feathers. Now, what I just realized that I did not do on this one is denote that this is Distress Oxide. I think I'm okay for right now because my intention is I'm going to create a whole bunch of these tags and keep all my oxides together. But if you're not sure, or if you just want to cover your bases, this time I'm going to just take a pencil instead of a pen because I may want to erase it. And I'm going to write oxide on the back of my tag, because again, I may not remember when I actually go to organize these. Yes, the white really does help that pop, and it just gives kind of a consistent foundation to what those edges are. Now, step 2 of my swatch, as you can see over here, is I took one of those 1x1 squares and I stamped the same color. It's less of a difference here on the oxide, but I know on some of my inks, when you ink blend, sometimes it's a softer color. Sometimes you don't get the same intensity as when you stamp. So I wanted to be able to show both a stamped and an ink blended image. So I've got this handy dandy little stamp set that has a variety of different, put that one in, a variety of different little shapes. When I was prepping for this a couple of weeks ago, I had coffee with my girlfriend Gail, and she says what she does is she takes the stamp and she just leaves it on a block, and she leaves it in her little basket of supplies, so that way, again, there's no excuse. I don't need to look for a block because it's already on the block. So I'm going to load that up. I'm just going to ink this stamp up and excuse my head. Bring it down here like so. So now this little square is going to go in the bottom right hand corner, just like on these swatches over here. I'm going to glue it down, get my little glue holder, though I'm not going to be doing a whole lot of gluing tonight. Attach this here in the bottom corner. So to start with, this is really the first step in all your swatching is just preparing these swatches, preparing the squares, getting them all labeled, getting them ready to go. Then your next question is, oh, where am I going to store them? So there are a few different options. As I was showing you, there is this tag here from Waffle Flower. It comes as, oh, seriously, guys, you would think that I'm working on a 2x2 space. I feel like everything is dropping tonight. So this tag here is a great big long tag, and it gives you 3 2x2 squares on it. This is one option. And what I liked about this one, and this will come into play a little bit later on, but there is also an embossed line to show you where those squares are. So these openings here do not cut out the square. They just emboss that line in there. So now if I want to, I can just put it on there and line it up. Helps me get with my spacing, helps me keep everything nice and even. But you don't have to use the Waffle Flower version. You could use Hunky Dory. You could use Spellbinders. Anything that has a tag, you could use. There is also this set here from Waffle Flower. Did I have that in here? Yeah. This is called the nesting piercing tags. So that also works. And I've got those as a couple of versions I'm going to show you in a little bit. Here we go. Hang on, let me pull them all out. So there is a version of the long one like you've seen there. Here is a version of that pierced one. And with this one here, what I did is I used the long one, but then I trimmed it down. So for my Copic color combinations, for example, then I don't feel like I have a great big tag full of wasted space. I can keep one little tag, but still use the one die that I have. And this is a great point that you don't just have to do your ink pads. You can also do your markers and that kind of thing as well. B said, did you do craft in black for oxides and craft distress? I did not, B. So I think what you're asking is, did I put it on different papers? Absolutely, you could do that. Right now, I have just done everything on white because 99% of the ink blending and crafting that I do is on white. If you find that you tend to use your oxides, for example, on craft paper or on black paper, which they absolutely look stunning, if that is something that you do, by all means, go ahead and swatch them that way. And honestly, I would do the same thing. I would do a set that is on white and then a set that is on black. Or you can go back, and I'm going to talk about this one in a little while, but you could do, okay, well, here is the main color on white. Here it is on black. Here it is on craft. And just list out what the options are.
Diane and Ellen are saying that this is really smart and really brilliant.
Excellent.
Now, I'm not sure if they're saying that this technique is that or if you're that. So
well,
you can take it either way.
I think we're going to take it as both. That not only is this system brilliant, but I like to think I'm pretty brilliant some days as well. All right, sorry, quick sip of water and then I'll continue. Okay. So we talked about tags. And again, use what you have. Don't feel like you need to do it using the waffle flower dies. I just pulled them out because A, I wanted to show you what to do. And B, I find it really convenient that everything is all matchy and is working well together. Maybe you're not a tag person though. Maybe you like to have a binder. Maybe you like to store these in something a little bit more, I guess, substantial is the word. So the other options you have is, well, again, you have any option that you want. The other option I'm going to show you is using a snap binder or one of the Doodlebug 6x8 binders. You can get pages, and I don't think we have many in stock. I know we've been trying to get them back in, so I'll keep on Matt to get these the Echo Park 2x2 page.
I just ordered a bunch.
Oh, Matt just ordered a bunch, so big thank you to Matt for that. So because these are 2x2, you can just store them in your little 2x2 pouch, and you can organize them in any combination or any order that you wish. Sorry, Diane is saying, can you put them all in one ring? Absolutely. One ring for oxide, one ring for inks. You do you. Personally, I would probably do one ring for each type of ink. But I'm going to show you some other ideas that you may want to also work into that. If you don't want to do that ring, you've got this binder option with the 2x2 openings. And one thing I'm going to suggest to you, if you do have a lot of distress inks, go to, no, where did I tuck that piece of paper? Hang on a second. Underneath all my notes here, you can go to the Tim Holtz Distress website, and he's got a whole list. This is all 72 colors, and the way that this is organized is in rainbow order. So it's got your pinks first, then your reds, your oranges, your yellows, all the way down to those earthy tones. Even if you just keep it on your screen to help you get the order. So if you want more of that rainbow order, you can do it that way. If you prefer to do alphabetical order, totally up to you. These are your tools. Use them the way that you, or organize them the way that you think you're going to use them. I love a good rainbow. I love to have all my pinks together, all my oranges together. So this way, if I didn't have all the colors, for example, doing these mini guys, we don't have all the colors yet. I could at least plan out, maybe put post-it notes here so that I can figure out where they go in the slot. And that way I don't have to reorganize them later on. Now, if you don't like the 2x2s, the other option, thought I put one in here. Did I not? I grabbed one. Is 3x3s. And oh, here it is. It is in here. It's all just got binged. So both Snap and Doodlebug have 3x4 windows. So you could take that little 2x2 swatch, put it on a 3x4 card, use one of the stamps to write your list, and then this. Well, it'll go in if it wasn't upside down. Wow, the bloopers tonight. What is wrong with me tonight? Oh, these ones are different. That's why I'm trying to find them at the top, and they're not at the top. They're on the side.
Are you okay in there?
I am totally okay in here. Just, Doodlebug threw me for a loop. So there's another way that you can store them. Lots of options. Remember, I'm not trying to give you one set prescription on how to do these. I'm just trying to give you ideas. But I personally do like that little 2x2 scenario just to keep track of everything. All right, we are half an hour in, and all we have talked about is step number 1. So here was the way that I did it with the ink blending, the stamped image, and putting it on a tag. Another way you could consider doing it is there is the little 1-inch ones. And this one I did for my Hero Arts. Because they come in sets of 4, this way I could keep all 4 in that set together. And that way I show, okay, here are my 4 blue ones. and I've just labeled them Hero Arts Core, Cornflower, Summer Sky, Indigo, and Nautical. That way I can keep them in order. So that's another option, and that's on that little pierced tag. What else can you do with these? What else can you do with them? Well, these swatching tools also help you keep track of color combinations. So I went and looked on Pinterest, and Christina Werner has a long done oxide color combinations. And if you just type in Christina's oxide combos, you are going to get a ton of different options. And it gives you a lot of really great ideas. So I pulled this one off here, and I decided that I was going to swatch out this one here, the Villainous Potion, the Peacock Feather, and the Twisted Citron. So again, all I did is I took a 3x4 square this time. Let's do a different one. I have also pulled the inks to do Villainous Potion, Seedless Preserve, and Pix Raspberry. So let's just do it. Let's dig in. Let me cut a piece of paper to 3x4. I am all, oh no, I'm not going to make it either way. So here's 4. Here's 3. Stick that down. Let me get this ink swatch stencil again. This time, because I'm working on a bigger surface, I am going to do the larger square on the stencil. And I just saw your question, so give me 1 second. Let me get that down. Inez said, I missed the beginning. What is the little square inside for? I think you're talking about this one here. So the main one I did was ink blending. The smaller one is stamped, because sometimes when you ink blend, you get a slightly different color or a slightly different look than when you stamp with that ink. So I just wanted to be able to have both of those options onto one swatch. So that's why I did that. Okay, so we're going to do an ink blend here. And I said Villainous Potion here, Seedless Preserves here, and Picked Raspberry. Make sure I grab my oxide. Ink tool 1, ink tool 2, and ink tool number 3. Let's get them out of the way. So I'm going to start with the Villainous Potion in the top right corner, because I think that's what I did here. I did, top right to bottom. Sorry, yeah, top right to bottom left. I'll start with my Villainous. Starting off of my paper onto my stencil, and just blend it in here. With oxides especially, you do not need to press hard. And I think just because I don't want this to go off on the edge, I'm going to go ahead and wipe this now. Doesn't have to be super clean, but there we go. Second color was Seedless Preserves. Here we go. And again, I'm just going to... I'm finding some of these are really quite juicy. So I've got that there. I may want to go back over and just smooth that edge out, just as I would if I was ink blending. And then Picked Raspberry is going to be my third color. And get this bottom blend going. Now, I'm not saying that these need to be perfect blends, but it's good practice on seeing how those colors blend together. If you can't get them to blend out nicely, then maybe it's not a color combination for you. And I do recommend that you do this whether you like the color combination or not. So if you find that there's something you want to use, but when you actually going to do it and you don't like it, don't throw it out. Keep it on your swatch ring, but leave yourself a note saying, don't like this. It'll remind you that the next time you see it on Christina's page, and you want to go and use it, you're like, nah, I didn't like that one. So there we go. I've got my nice, beautiful blend there. My stencil I can just wash up later. And I'm going to grab one of my bullet stamps, maybe. Here they are. Because the one thing you cannot do is walk away without documenting what your colors are. So I'm going to grab this little one here. It's got the triangles. Grab my ink. Stamp my little bullet list on the bottom and document my colors. So this was Villainous Potion. If I can spell it right.
I always make mistakes.
Villainous is tough. Villainous Potion, Seedless Preserves. And please, please, please do not let your handwriting prevent you from doing this. Nobody's going to see this besides you. So as long as you can read it, that's all that matters. Raspberry. There we go. And I'm actually going to add in here that this is oxide so that I remember. And now I can take this card, I can put it in my binder, I can put it on a ring, and there you go. Diane is asking an interesting question. Should there be a date on them? How long will the colors remain the same as stamped?
That's an interesting
That's a very interesting question. I'll be totally honest, it never occurred to me to date them. I have not had problems with ink colors changing, though I'm sure they do over time. I will leave that up to you. If you feel like you want to date them, you go right ahead. I don't feel that that is a necessary step, because I think these will retain their integrity for at least a decent amount of time, so long as you don't leave your ring in the sun or leave it exposed to sunlight. Sunlight is going to be your number one enemy against these guys. So if you are keeping them on a ring, just make sure you tuck them in a drawer, tuck them away with your inks, so that they're out of the sunlight. Or if you got them in a binder, just make sure your binder's not in the sunlight at the same time. So hopefully that answered that. Okay, so you could stop here, and by stop, I would say continue on with your various ink swatching, or you can take this to the next step. If you really like this color combination, and I'm going to pull this one just because I've cheated and pulled my paper already for this, I'm now going to take this color combination and turn it into a cardstock color combination. So let me move this out of the way. And in this case, I'm not looking for exact matches. There's that one. So this I'm using in place of Villainous Potion. This one I'm using in place of the Peacock Feathers. And this one I am using in place of the Twisted Citron. And this is where, what am I going to use? I think this is the one I'm going to pull out my little triangle one. And here's why. We're actually going to make 3 swatches in one, because as you organize your cardstock, for example, so here is my Spellbinders swatching of all my Spellbinders cardstock. But if I really wanted to expand this ring, I could create petals, or I'm going to use, because I'm using a different system, it's not going to work exactly. But sometimes you might want a dominant color, and then these are your complementary colors. So it might be that I am looking for, I want something that's going to go with purple. So I pull out my favorite purple, and these two are going to pop up. But you may want a second tag that is, if I wanted, this color is called Rainforest. If I wanted Rainforest to be my strongest color, what colors go with that? It just will help with your searching, that you may find things in different orientations. So bear with me a second. I'm going to cut purple. This one is called, I know this is Rainforest. This one was Lilac. Right, Lilac. And this guy here, I want to say is, yeah, Teal Topaz. So I'm going to cut each one of these and we'll build our little tags. I'm just going to do that. So I'm not wasting my cardstock. I've got my little Scout over here to the side. Scrap. So I've got a large fingers and go that way. This is also a great way for you to use up your scraps. So dig in your scraps first. That's where you're going to get your most used colors, because if you don't use the color very often, you're not likely to have scraps. So there's one here, one here, one here. And am I going to be able to squeeze it out? Well, for tonight's purposes, I think I can make this. I think I can make this work. Let's come down over here. My green squares might be ever so slightly smaller, but that's okay. You guys will get the point. Sorry for the shakety shake. Oh, Inez says, totally thought you were about to amaze me with some scissors with the die technique. No, sorry. Just cutting my paper smaller. All right, so there we go. There's my scraps. And I'm just going to build one. Where's my heavier paper? All right. Will this fit? Nope. There's my heavier paper. There, that'll fit. Singing off camera just so you guys don't think I run away on you. All right, so once again, I'm going to grab my glue and I'm going to start with my largest one. So I started by saying I was going to do purple combinations for all my purple loving friends here in the audience tonight. So let's.
There's nobody who likes purple. Let's be real.
I'm going to actually put it down here, the bottom. And then I can put a blue, or what Teal Topaz it was called. This is always the tricky part, making sure you get that point in the right direction. And then the Rainforest. Fit that together. And don't walk away without documenting. Unless you've lost your ink pad. There it is. There it is. So now I can go on the top. grab my pen. And so this is Spellbinders. So I'm going to, SPB is how I say Spellbinders. Number 1 is going to be the Lilac. Then I've got Rainforest. And what did I say? Teal Topaz. So this is 1, 2, 3. So now I've taken that ink combination, turned it into a paper combination, and got lots of inspiration now. Diane says she's also used small circle punches for the swatches. Absolutely. 100%. You can use whatever tools are at your disposal. Again, you do not need to use these waffle flower ones, but man, they sure make it easier. Okay, where to go next? Where to go next? So as I said, I have also used this for Copic markers. So this set here, this little stamp set here has a square and it's got bullet numbers. Here, let me do that. So personally, I wanted that inked boundary. Copic markers are not necessarily as easy to use with stencils as ink blending is. So that way I've just colored in that square. And what I will start with is some of my go-to color combinations. But if I take a class with Jen Shirkus, who has tons of amazing color combinations, or if I find another combination that I like, then while you're coloring, make a swatch. It just takes a few extra minutes to get it ready to go. And you can always cut down that large tag or use one of the other sizes. I talked about, we've got Tim's chart that we've talked about. I've talked about Christina Werner's. Sorry, let me go back to this. So now that I've done the one tag that had these two guys, I would store this with my purple cardstock. Then I would do another version and I would store it with my green, and I would do another version and I would store it with my teal. That way, again, if that anchor color is what I'm looking for, it's a lot easier than kind of flipping through the whole ring of things to think about what color combinations you're going to like. Okay. Sometimes color combinations are made for you. And we talked about Christina's versions for oxides. Well, now that our friend Janine has come out with her inks, what she is doing is she is matching her ink colors with her paper collections. So this is a really great way that you can use information that is already available to you, take all the thinking out, and all you have to do is swatch it. So I took this color combination for Beach Vibes, which is one of my favorite 49 Market collections, and I did this. So I've done two different things on the same tag. Now, if you're matching pattern paper, I really only recommend this if you are going to be doing a lot of work with that paper pack. Maybe you're doing a great big album. Maybe you're doing a whole variety of projects where you want to have that pattern paper access for you. If you're only doing one layout or you're only doing one card using that pattern paper, going to all this swatching probably isn't a good solution for you. This would also work if you have 6x6 pads. 6x6 pads often have coordinating colors throughout, and you may only use a few sheets at first. Create a tag and just tuck it in with that 6x6 pad. But what I did here is I took the colors that Janine recommended of her inks, and I've done that here with the inks using that stencil, and then I've matched up the cardstock. So again, I don't have to go back looking and figuring out what my color combinations are for cardstock. I've got it all together here on one tag. So that's nice and easy. But maybe someday down the road, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, I want a nice beachy color combination, but I don't necessarily want to tie it to this Beach Vibes paper pack. This is using the Spellbinders petal. So it's, these ones were the solid ones up here, but there is also a color combination one. So now if I just need color inspiration, I can flip through and use this. So you can take your color combinations and your swatching in a gazillion different directions. And I hope I haven't overwhelmed you. I hope I've shown you how easy it is, but it's also a little easy to get carried away. So start with your basics, start with your just documenting the colors that you have, whether it's inks, whether it's paper. You can also do it with embossing powder. You can do it with paste. You can do it with markers, as I showed you here. Um, Anything that has color really can be swatched, and even things without color. So you could do a whole series of swatches on your embossing folders. Ellen is suggesting start with your favorite color. Absolutely. Um, these really are meant to be, think of them as tools that you can use to better use the supplies in your stash. So again, you want to test your product, you want to see how they work, and you want to be able to use them more often. So start with your newest, get those done. As you bring a new product into your craft room, swatch them out right away, and then slowly but surely work your way back through your older stuff as well. Um, and get it all done.
I made a comment earlier saying that she's gonna have to swatch all her new inks.
Yep, absolutely. As I'm going through my little pile here of things that I haven't shown you yet, I'm gonna show you one last thing. So as I mentioned, Spellbinders cardstock is the cardstock I'm using most often right now, but there is no coordinating ink to go with it. They don't have their own inks. So what I did is I use that triangle format here. I use the cardstock as my base because that's what I'm trying to match it to. And I went through my stash and I pulled out the ink color that matched most closely to it. I also do a lot of coloring. So I made sure that the second swatch here is my Copic color. So that way I've got all kinds of matching across different mediums, so that I can be able to feel more confident when I'm crafting that my colors are going to work well together. So I challenge you. This week to pull out 3 things and swatch them. It could be 3 different colors of 49 and Market ink. It could be 3 pieces of or 3 colors of cardstock that you absolutely love. It could be 3 Copic markers that you use most often. And see what you can do with swatching in terms of just documenting the color, seeing how they work, and maybe finding a unique color combination to play with. Now, Inez says, well, now I have another project to start and not finish. Well, Inez, what I can say is this is a project that will never end. So I think all of us are going to be in that situation that we may not finish. But if we can at least make a concentrated effort to start with one little step, one little thing, we're going to get a lot farther than if we just do nothing. So again, you can use the tools at your disposal. You can go just as simple with your markers or even your ink pads and just do a swoosh. Just document it, because I really do feel strongly that if you get some sort of organization started, you're going to use your stuff more because you're going to see it, you're going to know what the colors are, and you're going to want to play with it.
Does this not give you a bit of a satisfaction too when you were getting this sort of thing?
Absolutely. So the hardest part is starting. I've been wanting to do this for several weeks, as you guys know, because I did talk to you guys about these, probably a month and a half ago now. And I'm gonna take my own medicine. Like I said, I'm gonna start with my new oxides and at least start there. I've got a format now. I like it. I've got a template. So I don't have to think anymore. I just have to take it and do it. And if you keep a little basket of your supplies together while you're watching TV, If you're going on a long road trip, so it might get a little bumpy.
That's
That
a
might
little
not,
bumpy. Yeah.
or, um, going to the cottage for the weekend. You don't want to pack up all your craft stuff, but you still want to feel crafty. Take something like this. This is something you could, get together with a friend and you could just sit and talk. You don't have to think about being creative, but you can feel productive and you can surround yourself with your beautiful stuff.
Well, organizing is a hobby unto itself.
Organizing definitely is a hobby unto itself. So there's my challenge for you folks. Diane says you will be happy you did. I'm really excited about playing with these a little bit more, taking them a little bit further. And if you keep them in one little case, keep all your supplies in one little case. You don't have to go searching for it. You can just dig it out and prep it as you go along. All right. Um, Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I just a little bit over time, but if I've inspired you to get a little bit organized or just appreciate the beauty of the stuff in your stash, then I have done my job. Um, oh, Diana saying put a do not disturb sign on your craft room door. That's a good one. Order out dinner. Make sure the laundry's done so you're not distracted. All of those good tips. We have one more back to basics next week. I'm crossing my fingers that some of the supplies that I've been waiting for before I do that come in. Otherwise, I'll have to pivot. But until then, enjoy your supplies. Look at how pretty they are and have a good week. We'll see you next week.